I started collecting Star Trek back in 2006 with the Christie's auction. That was a day that I'll never forget in my life. Because I focused specifically on Deep Space Nine, which was in the grand scheme sort of the stepchild of the Star Trek franchise, that's all right. For me, that was a golden opportunity because I could go after a lot of costumes that maybe a lot of other collectors weren't necessarily seeking out. Here we've got a favorite costume from Deep Space Nine, episode Captive Pursuit. This is the lead Hunter Aliens costume, and what's great about this is the buttons, when depressed, still make it light up, and the harness still lights up like a Christmas tree. Here I've got a really important prop for Deep Space Nine. This came out of the episode Waltz. It's the third man in the room when Sisko realizes that Dukat is the absolute villain that must be destroyed. One of the really fun things is it still functions. Hit all the buttons, it lights up. This interesting prop is a Pa-Wraith figurine, and Gul Dukat uses this to release the Pa-Wraiths. And when he does, he separates into two halves, and the spirit is released and it takes possession of his body. So here we've got a really cool Breen Rifle used at the end of Deep Space Nine. This costume represents one of my all-time favorite characters from the Star Trek universe. This is Quark. This is his early season costume as he appeared in seasons 1, 2, and 3. Fortunately, I've got enough costumes that I've been able to add a second room to display the collection. We've got some of the real gems scattered throughout this room. I'm obviously a Deep Space Nine fan, but in addition to that, I love all of Star Trek. So to broaden the display, I brought in Data's naval stunt costume from Generations, from the scene on the holodeck, very memorable. Here we have Dr. David Marcus, Kirk's son, who's killed in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. This costume is known as the Monster Maroon. It's everything that is great about Star Trek feature film costumes in reference to the original cast. This great weapon with the 50s retro styling comes to us from Star Trek Voyager. It's still in really good shape, and the beauty is it still lights up. I have two absolute favorite pieces. One of them is Thought Pran, the Breen General, full body spacesuit with a helmet that lights up. And the other is Captain Sisko's original series style costume worn in Trials and Tribulations. This costume is the highlight of my collection. It's got everything I could want in a costume. It's original series style. It appeared on my favorite show, Deep Space Nine, and it's got all the great components, the Delta shield, everything is just exactly what I would hope for. Some of the pieces that we have came from auctions, others came from friends who are also collectors. A friend of mine who's a collector out in Colorado acquired a big duffel bag that just looked like a generic background piece, but it had a piece of tape on the side of it. And when he peeled the tape off and it said Lieutenant Commander Worf, who's a very prominent Star Trek character, all of a sudden a prop like that goes up in prominence and importance because it's identifiable both to a character and to the show. Here we have two female Klingon costumes. It was when I got some costumes like this home that I realized how special these pieces are. The level of workmanship, the materials used in their construction is just absolutely phenomenal. This is Section 31. They're the rogue branch of the Federation. They do all the underhanded black ops work. This particular one is extremely rare because only 3 of these costumes were ever made. And this is the only one known to ever have come up for sale publicly. This is actually a Klingon accordion musical instrument used on Deep Space Nine. And this is something that is a one-of-a-kind piece. I've been very blessed to have a wife who tolerates my collecting quite well. In fact, she's even supportive oftentimes. But I've got 2 girls. They're growing up with this stuff. The girls get very excited about it. And we've even had an opportunity to actually, as a family, yes, we're geeks, we get dressed up in the costumes and go to premieres of movies. So we have a good time as a family with them. It's good to celebrate your geekdom. My name is Jim Williams. I'm a Star Trek collector and an absolute Deep Space Nine nut.